Alright, so our first order of business is to start with our unflavored gelatin. As you know, gelatin is, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, something you don't want to eat, but for us it's great with collagen, and that's just going to make our texture of our gummy bears. So we're going to take our measuring cup, and we're going to fill it with 1/3 cup of water. Full package. This is also 0.25 ounces or 1 tablespoon if you are not using the envelopes. And then we're just going to take our lime jello, which is 3 ounces, which is just 1 small box of lime jello. Now, if you're a vegan or vegetarian and you don't want to use gelatin, you can of course use agar-agar. That one's made from seaweed. It should be the same measurement as gelatin. Go ahead and add them in. Look at that green. That's what we like to see. It smells lime too. Gives it just the right amount of sweetness. We're going to take our gelatin, just going to pour it in. If you're using tablespoon measuring, you just put the tablespoon. And if you don't have a whisk like I do, you can use a fork. A fork is a very good method to whisk things together. It's going to start clumping together already. So I'm just going to take a look. So see, it's still a little clumpy. We're going to want to try to mix it a little bit more. We want to make sure it's as even as possible. So now that we have it incorporated, see it's still very opaque. Not the clearness that we expect from jello, and that's good. It still has to dissolve into each other. So that's the lime jello and the unflavored gelatin mixed together in the 1/3 cup of cold water. So we're actually going to let that sit. We'll put our timer up here, and we'll come back in 10 minutes and continue. Okay, looks like our timer has gone off. So, we're now going to take our mixture, and which is now fully incorporated, as you can see. Still a bit opaque, but a little bit more dissolved. And we're going to put it in the microwave. Mixture, and we're going to put it in the microwave 30 seconds. Alright, so we're going to take, and we're going to stir a little bit. Look how loose it's become. It's more like a liquid now. It's not fully done though. We're going to put it for another 30 seconds to make sure we get the rest of it. We just need to stir it. Again. I'm going to put it on for another 30 seconds. Our second 30 seconds are up. Just going to put it in there. See how it looks. It doesn't look fully dissolved. And if it doesn't look fully dissolved, you're just going to put it on for another 15 seconds. This looks pretty good to me. Now to our next step. So we have our mixture, which is warm, so we're going to want to act fast because we don't want it to cool down just yet, because then we'll have all of our Jell-O solidified in our glass pourer right here. So we're going to take our pipette, we're just going to fill that up, and this is going to bring us to the fun part. We're going to fill up our gummy bear molds. You want to overdo it or else it's going to pour around. I would recommend putting a paper towel underneath to make sure that it doesn't go everywhere. We're just going to continue. Your silicone mold may look different if you aren't using a silicone mold. Just make sure you grease whatever you have with some sort of oil so it doesn't stick. So we'll try. Even to glass. I do recommend sliding it on to a paper plate or a cutting board, something that's big that can keep it so it doesn't flop when you put it into the refrigerator, which we are going to do next. In the refrigerator for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the temperature of your fridge, and they should be able to come out right away. And if you're using a larger silicone mold, it is going to take longer to cool, so just keep that in mind. Put it inside the fridge. We're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. Come back and check on them. Alright, it looks like they are done. A good way you can test this is by touching them, and if they spring back and don't stick to your finger, that means they are set. So now comes the funnest part of this recipe, is taking them out. So I'm just going to take them out and look at that. So they're actually quite sticky, just the way they are. So if you're eating them right away, I'd recommend putting them on a ceramic plate, a paper plate. Now if you're storing them, I would toss them in cornstarch. You can do this by rubbing it between your hands. Let's take a look at those. Look how adorable those are. Still just as yummy if you're using a sheet pan. They'll just have to come out in the pan as one single long, square, flat gummy that you cut into pieces with a knife. With the silicone, it's a lot easier. All of our gummies out of the mold, and of course it's okay if you can test one too. Really taste the lime. And then you can wash silicone in the dishwasher. I would recommend hand washing it just in case there's anything still stuck in there, which you can see it's pretty clean. Here are our gummy bears. You can see they kind of stick to each other. This is because we don't use preservatives in this recipe. A lot of the ones you buy in the store don't have that. So these will stick to each other. That's what the cornstarch will work for that. If you're just eating them, again, if you're eating them right away, it's not too much of a big deal. I would put them on a paper towel because they will stick to the paper towel, and you don't want to eat that. A little too much fiber. You can see right here. Look at what beautiful things we've created. Feel free to use different types of Jell-O mixes. You can use any flavor. Using sugar-free, it may be a little bit different of a flavor, so just keep that in mind. If you're not eating them right away, best to take some cornstarch and toss them in it. I recommend just putting a little bit in your hand and then rolling them. You can see right here that it's just coated enough where it doesn't stick to the other bears. You can even try sticking it, and look, it doesn't work. So if you try rolling it, you're going to get too much. I mean, you can do that if you like, but I always recommend just taking a little bit. You can pour it into your hand, or just take a pinch of it, put it in your hand, and then just roll. That way it's not so sticky, doesn't stick to each other or to the plate that you have it in. You can put it in a plastic bag and it won't stick together. It happened to me when I put it in the fridge for the first time. It all stuck together. And then I tried coating it with powdered sugar, and then it just melted. Made a liquid around the gummy bears. So cornstarch is the best way. It absorbs a lot of moisture. Now these will store for about a week. You can put in the freezer and they won't actually harden. They may get a little chewier, so it's actually kind of nice. And I would not leave them out because they will get soft and they may start to melt just a little bit, especially if you have a warm house or apartment or whatnot. My best recommendation is to eat them right away. Let's take a look at our little bear right here. And of course, let's try it out. Very good. There you have it. Homemade DIY gummy bears.